Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Works with ICAR.
Don't need to get modified after 31 gun Joe.
UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out a reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, commenced to throwing his weight around.
Throwing his damn weight around, move. Throw it around. Kick your ass, brother. Kick your ass. You don't mess with me, I kick your ass.
A Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, any last wish before you die? Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, fill your claw, you son of a bitch.
You monkey bitch.
Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
You are listening to United Public Radio Network.
Are you?
PRNTalkRadio.com. 107.5.
11.7. Oh, close. 107. New Orleans, baby. New Orleans. New Orleans. New Orleans.
You are listening.
New Orleans. Welcome, everyone, to UFO Undercover. Hope everyone is having a great morning, great evening, great afternoon, wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. Terra, Sol 3, whatever you want to call it. I don't really care.
Earth, Sol 3.
Yeah.
Actually, Sol 3A. 3B is the moon.
Yeah, we don't count the moon. The moon's garbage. It's hollow. It's empty. So, we're going to speak of this. Think of this. We will be ringing the moon this week sometime, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Elon slamming that damn rocket into it. Big old booster, too. Way bigger than the landing craft that we slammed into it back in the day.
Yeah, it's a fat Saturn V rocket shell.
So this thing should go away. Whoa, 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 whoa. Might make the fishes jump out of the water and stuff. Well, no, Jimmy. So when back in the day, one of the landers, they brought it up with them. So usually they would leave part of the land on the moon when they would leave. They had a piece that would lift off and take them to the moon and dock with the ship in space. So they'd leave the lander on the ground. But in one case, they brought the lander up with them and released it halfway up and dropped it. And it smacked the moon, and the son of a bitch rang for like a bell for 72 hours or something? It rang for a while.
Well, different times. It didn't. That event happened on all Apollo flights. So the first moon mission.
No, most of them they didn't. They left them on the ground. They didn't take them up.
No. The legs always went up because the rocket and the fuel is in that. They're not going to take that extra weight with them. But the rocket to push the landing, the LEM, which is the thing on top of the legs. That rocket booster is underneath, so it launches, and then when it runs out of fuel, it detaches, kicking the LEM into orbit to meet up with the command module, and then the legs always hit the ground. So on Apollo 11, it was like 45 minutes. Apollo 2, it was like 97 minutes or 73 minutes, something like that. And then I think the longest time was like 2 hours and 11 minutes it rang for, and that was like Apollo 17 or 16 or something like that. But yeah, every mission, the legs landed on the moon, and the seismic sensors that were left by that mission and the previous 6 or 7 other missions also always recorded the seismic event. And it rings like a bell. It resonates.
They only talk about, when you look it up, they only talk about one mission, and they lifted it up and they dropped it, and it rang for 72 hours is what it says.
Well, that site is obviously wrong, or they're paraphrasing.
No,
but
it's NASA. It's a NASA site.
Well, you know what NASA stands for, right?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying.
Straight answer.
Why is my name on here? How weird. Oh, that's why. Okay, that's
so
weird. I hate when the computer does that. It searches for things it's not supposed to search for. Jimmy, what do you mean, search engines? On this computer can be anybody. Sometimes I might be using Bing. Sometimes it might be Yahoo. Sometimes it might be Google. Sometimes it might be Google Chrome. Yeah, well, no, because it's Google and Google Chrome. Yeah, whichever one you want to use. I do have Duck AI on the computer. I haven't really used it for anything yet. Well, because it's not supposed to have any algorithms that watch you. Yahoo, Google's the worst. Google watches everything you do. Yes, it tracks every damn thing you do. So, and one of the problems for this is, and this just tells you how space age technology works. So they all thought it was going to be a good idea to track your history online and use that to identify you when you're near a store so it can sell a product to you. Okay. Problem is sometimes the person may have been watching a lot of porn. So, you're walking through the local mall and there's a Victoria's Secrets there or something, and it may say something along the lines of, because of these selections right here, it names off the last 3 porn movies you watched, and you might want to enter this. Oh no, it gets worse than that, John. Oh no, they tried it in New York and it was embarrassing. Oh, it was in one case, in the lady, it told her about the new brand of diapers. So none of her friends knew she wore a diaper.
The new what?
Brand of diapers. Diapers.
New brand of diapers. Oh,
yeah, she's wearing adult diapers.
I see.
Yeah, so well, that's the thing. You just bought your wife something sexy, or your husband. You might have got some lube oils, or you might have got your first prostate. It's just dangerous.
Hey, wait, is this UFO Undercover?
Yes, it is, and I'm just because UFO Undercover deals with modern technology. That's one of them. Oh man, look. It's going to get weird it's going to get weird. Well, so just recently I got a thing sent to me from a friend that works for the CCTV system in England. And they do what do they call it? So the different, what do they call them over there? Counties send in anything that's odd, and they're the people who look at it. He said, that's weird because sometimes you'll just see something and they just disappear. And you're kind of like, what? Now, most of the time he says that's a camera anomaly and they figured that out. He said, every once in a while, though, it's not. He said, a couple times it just looks like people walk in the walls. He said, but when we investigate, there's solid walls there. He said a lot of other weird anomalies. One of his favorites is, so this alien shows up on like 6 or 7 on their cameras, right? He's running around rampaging, screaming at things, jumping up and down, but it's like 2:00 in the morning. This is in England. So he's rampaging all over. So they sent out the cops to go check, right? So the cops pull, of course, they ain't got no guns. 3, 4 cops, but this thing is like 8 foot, 9 foot tall. It's rampaging. It's scaring the crap out of everybody. It was fake. It was a person in a costume, damn good costume. But it had all kind of they brought out all kind of special police came out and stuff. I feel for this guy. He probably went to jail over it, but it was funny. He says, but they get weird stuff like that. People like to pull pranks because they know there's so many cameras. He said, but you just
that's Big Brother for you, though.
Yeah. He said, but you just see oddball stuff sometimes go by, or a flash of light, or you'll see something off in the distance that doesn't belong there, and you're trying to figure out what it is. It's very strange. Hey, Mish, how you doing? No, Dean, actually tonight we're talking about origins of life. Really, it's kind of a combination of origins of life and lost civilizations. You ever heard of Mujin? I know Jay know who the lost civilization Mu is, but well, you see, this is a problem. There's a lot of writing about lost civilizations, especially from the Greek and Roman. Yeah, there's a lot of it.
Well, even modern day, the current what's his name? Is it it's first church word is the last name? Is it Jack? I think Jack's his dad, and his name is I can't remember his first name. But the church words have a lot of writings on Lemuria, Mu, and I think they're of the theory that there's two different places. There's Lemuria, and then there's a cacophony or a destruction where both Lemuria and Atlantis are gone. And then afterwards, there's Mu, which is the remnants of Lemuria. And then you have Egypt, which alleged by them is also the remnants of Atlantis.
So on here, it's weird. We'll get to that. Hold on, let me get out of here where I can see you. So we're going to watch, there's some clips in it. We're just going to go through this, people. There's, they talk about some of the things we just talked about. So the Mu was a huge ass continent.
Hey, Heidi.
It was this, hey, Heidi, it was the size of, they said at least South America. It was big, and it connected India to Africa to Australia. It filled that whole ocean right there, basically.
And I think it also, if it didn't connect to, it was damn close to either Hawaii and or California and the Baja coast of.
Oh yeah, it was. Oh, yeah. So which one was it?
It may not have been connected. I don't know.
Wait. I might be getting, okay, there's two cities here, and I don't want to get them confused. So one of them connected to near Hawaii, Japan, United City off the coast of Japan, somewhere else. And well, no, these are in the Pacific, Gene. Atlantis was in the Atlantic, or if you go by what the Romans or the Greeks say, they were in the Caribbean, or right outside the Caribbean. Wherever the Pillars of Hercules is right outside of there. Because recently they found something off of one of the
Pillars
African
of Hercules
coasts.
In that time is the Strait of Gibraltar. So technically, Plato got it correct, but Plato placed it directly, like, you go out the Gibraltar and boom, there's Atlantis, where in actuality it was closer to North America. So it would have been several months by their technology of boats to get to and from Atlantis into Europe.
Yeah. So now these are some of the ones on here we're gonna actually catch up on. So this one right here,
Hyperborea.
So this is an interesting group in the fact that people, well, Jay and I got to shortcut some of this for you because these are long, and it's an interesting group. So this was actually supposed to be in the Arctic, and trying to get an actual date of what they're talking about is tough. So all the writings say what happened to this civilization is the Earth moved. It changed, and it changed its 4-degree axis. It moved to
I was just about to say, because Hyperborea is notated with the north and some sort of land there. That the Arctic right now, there is no land under that ice, just ocean. It's just a floating ice cap right there. So the planet would have been in a different configuration for land to be at the North Pole, for Hyperborea to exist in our, if you will, historical myths.
So anyway, when the axis shifted, they had eternal spring, 6 day a month, 6 months of summer and eternal spring, and then when the planet shifted, it just became a frozen tundra, and probably started moving because the planet had shifted,
and could very well be Siberia.
Yeah. So it moved on its little merry way. Very interesting, advanced civilization somewhere between, say, modern day Europe and maybe 50, 80 years above where we are today. Depends on some of these ancient civilizations. It's weird. In some ways, they are more advanced than we are today, but in most ways, they're less advanced than we are. So they have things like running water in bathrooms, but they're still using like open aqueducts and things like that to bring it where we're using.
Right, but they also had hot running and cold running water. But then they also allegedly, I'm not so much familiar with the Lemurians. I wish I knew more. The Atlanteans, though, under at least described by Plato, had both flying vessels, horseless vessels that meaning vessels that moved on the ground without the aid of a horse.
At the start of the game, you can choose any shelter you want.
Also,
but once you pick
vehicles that went on the ocean and under.
Yes, I mean it's very strange. Now there's a map.
Yeah.
There's a map. Now there's something that we'll turn this on. Let's hear about these three guys right quick.
By authors Herodotus, Pindar, and Pliny the Elder, Hyperborea was
I
no
never
myth.
heard of the last guy.
It was a real place located somewhere in the far
Pliny
north,
the Elder? They got
in what
Pliny
we
the
now
Elder.
call the Arctic Circle, the
Pliny the
northern
Younger,
Urals,
Pliny the Senior,
and as
Pliny
far
the
as
Younger.
Siberia. But here's what doesn't make sense. These weren't describing a frozen wasteland. They described a warm, fertile paradise where the sun never set for half the year, and the people lived in complete harmony. And the mystery of this civilization does not end
and they
here.
glowed. They said they were glowing people.
Well, still, but for those conditions to exist, you have to be
The
at
Hyperboreans themselves
where
were
Alaska
tall,
is now.
luminous beings who glowed with an inner light. Not just that, but they also possessed knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering that allowed them to build magnificent temples and cities even in their remote location. However, the most intriguing evidence of Hyperborea comes from an unexpected source: ancient maps. Specifically, the Mercator maps from the 16th century that show an ice-free Arctic continent with 4 distinct rivers flowing from a central mountain. How did cartographers in the 1500s know what the Arctic looked like before the ice? Unless they were copying from far older maps created by people who had actually been there when it was habitable. And beyond the maps, modern satellite imagery has also fished out something even more unsettling. Beneath the Greenland ice sheet, ground-penetrating radar has detected geometric patterns and formations that look disturbingly artificial, all pointing to the Hyperborean civilization.
And you know who's trying to get there? Uncle Trump.
Seeding new civilizations with fragments of Hyperborean knowledge. Theosophy, especially the work of Madame Blavatsky, identified Hyperboreans as the second root race of humanity, beings who existed before what we consider the start of human civilization. Whether you believe that or not, one question remains unanswered. How did the ancient Greeks know about a northern paradise that existed before the ice?
Because they had a very good navy.
Yes, they did. Now, I know you've heard Jay and I talk about the Mayans a lot.
It's one of our favorite subjects.
It is one of our favorites.
Mine, anyway. I don't know about yours, but
it's one of my favorites too. So guys, we've been working on a new theory. Matter of fact, I was going to talk to Jay about this before we even got on air tonight, but I didn't get a chance. I'm going to probably get with him and maybe one of our other friends from Writers of the Future, and I'm thinking it's time to do some revisions. So one of the maps we're going to see later in this group here is something that I've been talking about for a while. So Jay and I have been trying to give y'all a way that these cities got to where they were. So another clip in here shows 450 years ago how little amount of water, how low the water was on the planet. They actually show a couple times where the water was very, very, very low, and then the ice caps melted and it filled in, but it's still the same problem. There wasn't enough water with all the ice caps melted, so there had to be another source of water. So now, while we're talking about all this, it talks about destruction of places where the water, like Atlantis and Mu and a couple others, where the water just came in overnight and just doesn't sound like a tsunami. It sounds like something much worse.
Like another planet's volume worth of ocean smacking you all at once.
Yes, and
double volume all at once. That would cause a worldwide flood.
Well, Gene, I got something for you. How come none of the old maps show whales on them? Because whales were abundant on our planet. How come none of them showed it? None of the maps that they consider pre-civilization show whales on them. All the ancient world maps show whales with things. They do show krakens and stuff.
Krakens, large lobster-like creatures, crab-like creatures, and I either sea serpents or just like a very artistic ideas of giant squids attacking boats.
Well, we know at one time, because we know they got giant octopus and giant squid, so we know at one time, unchecked, with all that food in the ocean, some of them probably got easily big enough to take on a ship, especially like a Spanish galleon or a schooner or something. They could have easily took it on. Now, the only thing that really F's them up to start off with is them gray whales. They eat them like they're candy.
Right. Yeah. Well, the one thing I would like to say about that is now for years and years and years, I'm 59, and I discovered the Architeuthis, which is the phylum name for the giant squid, which eats, they fight with the sperm whale. I saw my first specimen at the age of like 5 or 6 in Washington, D.C. at the National, Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. Now they have when you go in, as soon as you go through the front doors, there's what they call the rotunda. It's just a big lobby, and then there's a reception desk, and behind the reception desk is a mastodon or a woolly mammoth, and then to the left is the sea, the sea area, the natural history of the sea, and it's a path. You go in one way and you come out the other end, and when you come out the other end, the last two things you see is on the ceiling is a 63-foot model of a blue whale. And you're seeing it from underneath, so it's not blue, it's white. And then right underneath of that is a 63-foot long, it's basically a coffin filled with formaldehyde and the entire body of Architeuthis. And it's 60-some feet long, and it's huge, and it's nasty looking. But people have been speculating, does it exist? Does it exist? The Smithsonian's had one since I was a kid. They've had it for 60 years.
And they think
they've known about it for 60. It's right there in plain view for anyone to see. So, yeah, I mean, are they fictional creatures? No. They exist. They still exist. And there's thousands of them at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, they've been ships that have been documented that have survived them. So
Megalodon probably also exists, Mish.
But the point is it was a different time. So when you look backwards on our planet, first off, the further you go back, the more the planet changes. It wasn't even the same design. We weren't even, things were shaped differently. Things were in different places. The Mayans. So we're going to do just a short on Mayans because it's not one of the origin.
Before we play that clip, though, Mish has a good question, and it's about Mu, but it's also about Maya. Maya, Mu, Lemuria, Lamayan. They're similar, and you'll see why. So no, they haven't. Most of what was the continent of Lemuria, according to the church words, is gone. It's a cacophony. It's like an explosion. Whether it's a meteorite or moon from another planet that strikes the continent, or geologic activity and magma and earth forces exploded the continent. It's all underwater, so you can't LiDAR it. It's gone. But they spread out along the Philippine Islands, the Hawaii, Philippines. They're remnants of them in Southeast Asia, Japan, Korea, China. And then on the other side, they took most of them made it to I think they were closer to the South American continent. So the bulk of their species made it to South America and became the early beginnings of the Mayan civilization. And then that goes back. So they were probably like the Olmec, prior to the Olmec, which is like the first pre-Columbian group. So Lemuria is pre-Columbia, like way pre-Columbia. There's no way. We're all just guessing as to what happened there. So no, we can't LiDAR. But they have LiDAR the shit out of the South American, pardon my French.
Yeah, and they find something every time they look. Yeah, every time they look.
They found so far the largest complex ever in central, I think they said Argentina.
Yeah. Well, some of the countries won't let them scan, Jack. Nah, they can't scan everything. So there's still a lot of forests they want to scan. Well, some of the forest is pretty dense too, but usually they find stuff. What happens if the forest is too dense for the LiDAR to penetrate fully? They usually find pathways up to it, and they'll just send somebody to go look. Yeah, they've done that a couple of times too. Mm-hmm. Well, the canopy gets too thick some places. Just depends on how old the city is. The Mayans aren't ancient, but they're an old civilization.
That's a good postulation. Now, I don't think so. Mish says the moon might be what's left of Mu. No, the moon might be what caused the destruction of Mu and Atlantis. Because there are stories of the time before the moon, and we know for a fact it's mathematically unnatural for the moon to be where it is. It's in a nearly perfect circular orbit instead of a mostly egg-shaped or elliptical orbit. It's at exactly the precise mean distance from our planet, meaning averages because it has different distances from our planet as it spins around. But the average distance of it from our planet is the exact precise number to exactly block out the sun in an eclipse, which is mathematically impossible for something natural to just be spinning around.
Yes, but wait. So stop what you said thinking, though. 5 million years ago, it wouldn't have been in that place. A million years from now, it won't be in that place. It's moving away from the planet 4 inches a year. So it's leaving. It's going bye-bye, man.
But to begin with,
that's one of the things but that's one of the things that proves that the moon came from the Earth. The fact that it's moving away from it. So it came, whatever it was, however it tore off, whatever hit us and tore off, or whatever blew up and tore off, or whatever the hell happened, whatever caldera exploded and blew up a chunk of the planet, whatever it was, it came from here. Because it's steadily moving away back.
What if after we drop this rocket on it, we now realize that it's a hollow metal ball, and then we know it didn't come from the Earth?
Well, it had to be real close to here because it's been moving away.
I don't think it came from the Earth, to be honest with you, at all. 100%. I think it came to the Earth from outside, and I think it was piloted.
And then it ran into the Earth, and now it's been bouncing off.
It's possible for it to be where it is, to block out the sun for precise eclipses. It's mathematically possible for a natural subject to do that. So I mean, it's possible, but the odds are so odd.
No, because they were showing eclipses on Titan the other day, man. They when you got as many planetary bodies as we have,
I don't think they're as accurate as ours. I mean, the moon covers up all but I think they said like 0.4 millimeters of the actual disk of the sun when it fully eclipses it. But the fact is that also that it seems to be hollowed out because all the debris that's on the top, all the dust that's on that surface, is in a normal natural moon body or planetary body. That stuff should be at the bottom because it's the older stuff and the denser and heavier stuff. On our planet, all the lighter, dense, all the light, not dense, fluffy stuff's on the top. Water, loam, and topsoil, which we call alluvial. When you go to the bottom of our planet and to the center of our planet, things get denser and heavier and heavier. It's the exact opposite on the moon. So it's not a natural object. It cannot be, just by the mathematics evidence that we have.
In the middle of it yet. They got to figure out what's in the middle.
Yes, we do, because it's all on the surface.
No, because remember, you see,
in the middle, we don't know what used to be.
No, you're making a boo-boo. You're making a boo-boo. Remember, on the other side of the moon, there's something big and huge buried under the surface very deeply. So
yes, that's true too.
So the moon isn't always going to be. See, that's the problem. The moon may be hollow in sections. It may have been hollowed out and used as it may have been a colony ship. That might have been what brought the Martians here. It might have been their damn moon. They might have brought us here. It's what I'm saying. Well, we are them. There's no doubt about that. We share the same daily clock as they do. There's no doubt that part of our species come from Mars. We can't even escape that anymore. You can't have the same biological clock and not be somehow related to that planet.
Yeah.
Plus, it's more than that. It's the optimal body temperature for us to perform in is on that planet 55 million years ago, not this planet today. And this is where we're at. So now we've been here long enough.
I think we evolved on this planet for one thing. We'd be 90% hairier.
Well, yeah, because in the back in the day it was cold as shit.
Well, but every other species but us is 90% covered in fur.
Well, almost. Let's just say all the ones that live on land, or leave it at that. No,
that's what I'm talking about. The mammals, the ones that we come from, particularly the primates and great apes and monkeys and whatnot, they are all 90% covered in hair.
Why you keep thinking you came from a monkey, man?
We have primate DNA within us, all of us.
No. All you positive people do. All us negative people don't. Let's not get carried away here with who got monkey genes and who don't.
I don't know. I think if you didn't have
so when you do this,
that would be a major red flag. Somebody would say, "Hey, look, we found a new species."
So that's what they were talking about. So Rh negatives do not share the rhesus monkey gene with Rh positive people. Even that's what Rh stands for, rhesus monkey. That's what it actually means. It's Wait, Glenn, no, because there's too many surveys. Even I get tired of listening to all the different surveys. It's you mean pros and cons? Yeah, because there's so many different surveys. So if I go to where were we the other day? We were doing this, Harvard or Yale, and they talk about how odd it is that Rh negative is so much different than Rh positive is. But when you go to some of the other, Tulane Medical University, they talk about how it's a fluke and an anomaly, which may not even last. Like I said, it's all in what you want to talk about. Well, it's like the monkey thing. Do we share genes with them or do they share genes with us? Yes. And if you believe in that God created you or that ET put you here, then you're not sharing any DNA with any damn monkeys.
It depends on which ETs you believe are the ones who put you here.
It's really the only stories that are even credible are the Mesopotamian, Sumerian stories. They're the only ones that really hold any credibility. And I actually think
some of the stories from Mayan are also pretty good. It's Teotihuacan, which they call it in that. I forget the name. I think it's Nahuala. I forget whatever it's called, the land language. But Teotihuacan means the city of the gods, and allegedly there was a spaceship of some sort or a spaceport of some sorts there, and kind of an offshoot. It's just legend and lore. But in the D&D game that Gary Gygax made, there's I forget the dungeon module named for it, but there's a dungeon module where you go to South America, and you go into the spaceship and get technology in Teotihuacan.
The Mesoamericans, just like the North Americans, have the same lore. They're not from Earth. Their origins are not from planet Earth. Their origins are from somewhere else. They were brought here as an experiment to try to colonize this world, which apparently was successful and not successful. Well, the Mayans were a very successful race, and then they weren't. They went from like boom to nothing. They just faded away. Yeah.
Well, they faded away.
No, according to the thing, they dispersed. That's actually what they
migrated and blended into the native lands
because they said somebody had said, "Oh no, they just all disappeared one night," but that's not what really happened. They said you can see the way the cities are that they slowly but surely left the cities. It wasn't all at one time. He said, "Or the cities would have been far more damaged than they are." He's like, because they would have been less maintenance on, is what they were saying. I find out a lot interesting. Well, Jimmy, the Mayans are fascinating. They had such an advance. Them and the Chinese, the Sumerians, the Egyptians had such an advanced understanding of astronomy. So one of the Mayan temples has 365 stairs. Every day, the sun's on one of those stairs. So you always know what day of the year it is. The one next to it does an entirely different thing. So they built these temples that turned out to be observatories. So we're calling them temples, and they were in clocks. That's the other thing.
One is a daily clock, is the one you talked about, and the other one it's the coming down effect of a snake coming down from the top of the temple. And I think it's on the equinoxes. So equinoxes. The first one, he's coming down. You can see like a shadow of a snake going down the side of the stairs.
We might actually.
And then on the other equinox, in the vernal, it goes up.
Let me see. We might have had that. Let's see. Look at this city.
It was a gift. I resented it for 3 weeks. Then I filled the bowl with water, dropped the grapes in, and I wasn't ready for that. I watched my daughter eat half a bowl of grapes.
If you get grapes out of that dirty, shame on you.
These people didn't just build cities. They built astronomical observatories disguised as pyramids,
and
even calculated planetary movements with accuracy that rivals our modern computers. Since their specialty was time, the Maya built a calendar system so precise it tracked time across millions of years. All these feats without metal tools, or the wheel, and without what we'd recognize as advanced technology. At around 2000 BCE in the Yucatan Peninsula, the civilization emerged and spread across modern-day Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. During the Classic period, roughly 250 to 900 CE, they reached a peak, especially when cities like Tikal and Palenque became thriving metropolises housing tens of thousands.
Star Wars.
But this is what sets them apart. According to archaeologists, the pyramid at Chichen Itza creates a serpent shadow exactly twice per year. Meanwhile, the Temple of Kukulkan has 365 steps, one for each day of
364
the
steps.
solar
The
year.
fifth one is the altar top.
Now, these weren't decorative choices at all.
Glenn goes,
They were teaching tools built by people who understood celestial mechanics better than we give them credit for. By themselves, the Mayan mathematical system invented the concept of zero. This is something that took Old World civilizations centuries longer to develop. They calculated that Venus takes 583.92 days to complete its cycle, whereas modern astronomy puts it at 583.93 days. They were off by 6 hours over 500 years of observation, without telescopes.
That's damn good tracking.
Then, around 900 CE, something happened. The cities were abandoned gradually, like a slow-motion catastrophe. Construction halted mid-project, and temples were left unfinished. To date, many argue whether bad weather conditions like drought ruined Maya,
Actually,
or
I think
are more
what it was,
dramatic,
they were
as
just
it happened
called
in
home.
a single day and night.
I think they. Oh wait, it's Atlantis. So I think I really think in the mines, because there was a writing on one I had read a while back, that was it the Aztecs or the Incans? One of them thinks that the Mayans went home, that the people who brought them here came to get them. I think they said something. It was something along the lines that they were brought here to expand and grow, and then they were going to be brought back home to recolonize wherever they came from. Because it is weird that they dispersed the way they did, but there's no real remnant of them today.
But no, you're right. But that speculation is also there that they left in large quantities via spaceship, all at once.
Yeah. Well, it never seemed to be all at once. It always seemed to be like it took a couple of decades or something. But it was like they would show up 5, 6 big, huge ships, and wherever they were,
probably travel time from where they're coming to where they're going, back and forth. Yeah.
Well, Jack, so Jay and I have been talking about this, and I want to really do a book on it. So we understand that at one point the oceans were much lower than they are today. Much, much lower. The city that we're talking about off the coast of Cuba is in 2,000 feet of water. I think the one in Louisiana is like in 1,200. So at 400, well, I'm sorry, at 15,000 years ago, the oceans were 500 feet lower than they are today. Okay, that's 15,000 years ago. So this city we're talking about off the coast of Cuba would still have been underwater.
See, and here's the thing: what explains the flood? Nothing explains the flood. We know it happened. We have the geological record. There was a global flood, but what we don't know is the mechanics of it. Was it rain for 40 days and 40 days? Well, that would be impossible because it wouldn't cover the entire planet. So, in order for an entire global catastrophe to where only like the peaks of a few mountains, Ararat and Everest being a few of them, the only way for that to happen would be an increase in the water table. So you double the water table, boom, all the land gets swallowed up with water until all the caverns underneath the land and the oceans can recede and suck that water back in. That is probably what happened.
Well, no, Jess. So let's say we'll go back to the water table where it was 500 years ago. It was way. But no, we'll go back 1,000 years. So it's about 1,500 feet less water than there is now. So there's a lot of land showing everywhere, a lot of islands. You know what? I actually think. Let me see. I think I've seen a map on one of these. I don't know if it was this one or a different one. That's all about Atlantis. Yeah, we all know. All y'all should know about Atlantis by now. This is a whole nother city. That's Mu right there.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not Mu. That's anyway, we'll get back to that. I'm sorry. I've given you bad information here. Hold on. We'll come back to that. That's interesting. But you can see how it connects to everything, like India, Australia, and
yeah, that's Lemuria.
Yeah, so this is all part of that. This is more flood. The same catastrophe, by the way, for them as for Atlantis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's simultaneous.
This is all stuff that's left underneath. Let's see. This is not what I'm looking for. Ah, here we go, right here. Where is it at? Where is it at? Oh, a biscuit eater. Where's Mute? There it is. Hey, man, who let the little girl have a gun, man? Come on, what's wrong with you
apocalypse,
people?
man.
Okay, oh, she's a zombie.
She will be
here
soon.
we go. Look, here we go. This is what the land would have been back in the day. Okay. As y'all can see.
That's 4,920,000. That's 49 million. Well, what is that? How many million?
Well,
is that million years ago?
Hold on. Let's turn this up and let's jump back over here. Oops. Oh shit. I made a boo-boo.
Yeah. Way the hell up. No, it's way further up than that.
Yeah, I know it is. Another one boo-booed. Yeah, it was up here somewhere. It's a scan along. We know it was past this. We know it was past that. We know it was past that. Let's just jump up a little bit. We know it was past all that. Up there it is.
Right there we go.
All right, let's hit play.
Years ago, sea levels were 400 feet lower than they.
Let's go back just a little bit.
What if they all point to the Kumari Kandam people? To top it, there's geological backup too. 14,500 years ago, sea levels were 400 feet lower than they are now. This means that vast coastal areas that are now underwater were once habitable land.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of...
Whoops, damn it. Little map, you try and get on my nerves, aren't you?
Coastal areas that are now underwater were once habitable.
All right. Look at this, people. I mean, so you've heard us talk about this. This is what Atlantic would have been back then. This is what you're looking at.
Yeah. That's
all
the
of this
bridge right there.
Yeah, this is all crossable. Everything you see here right now, when you look at this map, it looks like you could walk around the entire world and not get wet.
More than likely.
So, what they're trying to do. So, when you're looking at this map, where is all the ice, people? So, technically, if this is caused by the ice age, this ice should be way down across here, all the way down here, even crossing part of the Gulf.
I only see ice in the highlands and Greenland.
Barely at that.
Yeah.
It looks green. So this planet was lusher.
Higher oxygen content, probably.
Yeah. So you have to ask yourself, where did all this water come from?
Didn't come from here.
So Jay and I both agree on this, and I've talked with some other people about this, and it seems like we know that one time Mars had oceans on it, and we're pretty sure there was a fifth planet before Jupiter.
And it may have had ice on it as well.
So we're thinking one of these oceans, or a combination of two, whatever it was, somehow one of these oceans, when the planet was destroyed or when they collided, one of these oceans went sailing off, probably about the size of the Pacific, maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
It happened
as an ice ball.
I don't even think it might. It may not have even been completely frozen.
Well, but
being how deep it was,
yeah, all the way around the edges, it would have been frozen. I mean, all the way to the core, but by the time it got to Earth, probably it was almost all the way froze.
Well,
I mean, come on, it's negative. Hey, Google, what's the
it's freezing in space.
Yeah,
but it's not that. It's creating its own heat by two different ways. One, it's undulating.
Friction.
Yeah, it's undulating and moving, so it's causing heat.
Because it's mostly a near vacuum. However, the cosmic microwave background radiation that fills the universe gives it a baseline temperature of about minus 455 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, hey, Google, stop. Minus negative 455 Fahrenheit. That's plenty enough to freeze an ocean in a. It's not going to get to Earth in one day. It's going to take several months. Because it's
not if the ocean's moving though. If the ocean's creating heat, you got to remember we're talking an ocean the size of the Pacific. This is bigger than our moon. So this is moving around and creating its own heat, not including there were probably a lot of life forms in it, also causing heat. So it may not have been quite as, it might have been quite as easy to freeze as you think it was. One, just the fact that it was moving around would have made it a lot harder to freeze. Also, too, if it would have frozen and been moving, it might have broke off in chunks.
Well, let's see what Google says. Hey, Google, if the Pacific Ocean were flung into outer space, how long will it take to freeze it?
Oh, God. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, yesterday.
If the Pacific Ocean were moved to outer space, it would start forming an ice cap on its surface within a few weeks. Because space acts like a giant vacuum, the heat would be lost primarily through radiation, which is a slow process. While the surface would freeze relatively quickly, the immense volume of water means it would take a very long time, likely thousands of years.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only way this works.
Yeah.
So that's the only way this theory works. Because if it would have been an ocean the size of the Pacific as a ball of ice, it would have crushed our planet, probably destroyed the damn thing. It would have been just like the moon hitting us. So what happened is this thing
it's more like the water balloon.
Yes, this thing hit us, busted, just across the whole damn planet. And think of this, people. So it brought some of its own ice, but any ice left on the planet was now lifted up, and it started melting from this warm water. And remember, this water would have been warm, and once it hit our planet, it would have warmed up a lot faster. So we'd have just had. I doubt that there had been any ice on the planet for a while.
Well, coming into the atmosphere, the ice probably would have been immediately liquefied upon friction with the atmosphere, and then also some of it would have steam boiled instantly and made a fairly, I would think, would cover the entire Earth with clouds for a couple of days or weeks.
Probably.
And then the flood. So, I mean, then you'd have 40 days of rain because of all the steam that it did as it came in. So that your 40 days of rain have to happen because it's part of some of those myths. That's probably where that mechanic is as it entered the atmosphere, millions of decaliters of it steamed into clouds first. Then it flooded the planet. Then it ran like a motherfucker, all over the place, pardon my French.
And this makes it even more fun because on this map prior to this time we're looking at right here, they weren't showing whales or giant squids or any of that crap.
No. We did have we established that we did have squids and serpent-like monsters and krakens and large lobster-like things, but no whales until like the modern European times.
Actually, looking at this, the water just simply looks too shallow for anything big.
Well, no, you're still going to have probably 7 or 8 miles of Marianas Trench, so there's still lots of water and lots of big things in it. It's just they probably wouldn't venture as close to the ocean to the continents because those are the continental shelves we're looking at that are those little lower, light greener places. So that's where they would come, was to those edges. They wouldn't come any further. Yeah.
But it's even worse. Look, I went ahead and played some more of it. It's let's see. Damn.
See how far it goes.
At the
that was it. I knew it was close.
Right there. Okay, so back it up just a couple.
Oh, Joe, what did I hit? I hit the wrong something.
No, use the arrow keys on your keyboard. You
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car.
Like 5 seconds per click.
Okay, you ready? All right, 100.
I thought that was weird. I thought I smelled a steak. I was fixing to go find what the hell.
Yum.
Okay, no minds. We done with you. We love you, though. We love you too, Plato. Atlantis, we love you too.
Still can't find on a map.
Ouch. I'm sitting on my keys.
Oh, this is what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Do you know that another civilization bears an uncanny resemblance to Plato's Atlantis? It was called Kumari Kandam, a magnificent continent that started with the ancient Tamil people of southern India. According to the 15th century Indian text called Skanda Purana, Kumari Kandam was a vast landmass stretching south of India, connecting Madagascar, India, and Australia.
Which makes sense if that map we were just looking at is correct.
Also,
that would have been just
marine
there.
Flood perfectly aligns with the period 40 coastlines world.
Where's that map? You just passed it. There we go.
At the end of the last ice
I
age,
wasn't paying attention.
now underwater, were once habitable land.
You used to keep your keys on
There
your
we
keypad.
go.
You can go forward 5 seconds or backward 5 seconds.
It's only.
Now, where's those?
It's almost at the end. It's 49 was it.
Yeah.
So this would have been what we were just talking about, but we were
Murray
just
Country,
watching. Yeah, right here, and there it is. I guess. So this is Perth. This is Australia.
That's Australia.
Yeah,
Did
which
you
is
go a little
all
bit further? Because
Boom.
where that blue is, that blue has to go away for that to be Murray Country.
Yeah, see, it just doesn't give you that. It's
Now use the keys on your keypad and go back 5 seconds.
that's
There you
it didn't go back 5 seconds, it went back 5 million seconds.
go. Mine only goes 5 seconds.
Yeah, see, let's just jump it up to here. Where the hell? Damn it.
Tiwanaku.
Sometimes this thing is whoa. Okay, here we go.
Were once habitable land.
All right, yeah. So that's only 28 away from the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you look at this, so this would be Cuba. This is where, so right here, this little dot, matter of fact, is where that city would be from 15,000 years ago.
Yeah.
That's right where it would be. And it would be above water there this time, which is 15,000 years ago. So where's Japan at? There's Tokyo.
Yeah, Japan is no longer all by itself. It is now a peninsula.
So
Or
this,
maybe even an isthmus almost. It's almost an isthmus.
this is where that other city is. It's above water too.
All right.
Let's scan. So there should be a city right. This would be what?
All right. Yeah, 3 or 4 of them around Cuba.
So that's Texas. So this would be where that city of the coast of Louisiana is right here. And I bet you that's right where it's at.
No, that's
too.
New York where you're at.
No, that's New York way up there. This is Miami down. Oh, yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
right here. So this was DC. Sorry. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. That was DC I was looking at. So, oh, that's right. The Gulf is closed in.
That's the
here.
Gulf. That's the Gulf. Yeah, that's no longer water. And you're looking at where Cuba is underneath Miami. That's where all the 3 or 4 underwater cities would be. And then over on the west coast of India, there where that land is between Saudi Arabia, that's where those 2 cities were found.
So right here, guys, you've got a sunken city right here, a sunken city right here, a sunken city right here, and a sunken city right here.
And there's also one on the east end of Cuba as well. There are 5 over there. 4 around Cuba.
You got all those cities predate civilization by at least 10,000 years.
Yeah.
And as you can see on this map, they're above the water right there.
Yep.
But it also showed how fast they went under because, and you and I talked about this being closed off and then suddenly being opened.
Right.
You can see a little dress. So people, what happened is everywhere you see gray is land. So when this water hit the planet,
continental shelf is what it is.
All of this. So when you're looking at this, okay, people, just to put this in perspective, because it's hard to see from here. So when you're looking at this, you're looking at this little coast right here. This is 500 feet from this ridge to the water height, at least. It could be higher in different places. But when we're talking about this age right here, the water was 500 feet lower. And I think actually most scientists think it was lower than that.
Yeah.
That's what we were just listening to, 500 feet lower.
Whatever the water table was before the flood, after the flood, it's at least 2,000 feet above the previous coastlines, which means that it wasn't flood from local waters. The only way for us to have increased our volume of water to where the coastlines are now buried 2,000 feet underwater is another amount of volume of water had to have struck the earth. You can't just create water out of nowhere unless it like burped out of the middle of the planet, which would be really weird. But I guess that's possible.
It is possible.
A big bubble of ocean water comes up from underneath a dead volcano or something and floods it. But I think it's an ice ball from Mars or the 5th planet.
Yeah. So, well, no damn ice ball. Get that out of your head. I thought we done worked that out already for you.
Well, no, it's an ice balloon.
They have a little thin ice
on the edges and water.
And I doubt. And I doubt the ice on the outside. I think it'll always be changing because it's going to be undulating. No,
Well,
I knew. I knew. See, Jimmy, I already knew it was going to be warm because you can't have a mass of water that big moving around and be cold. It's because it's creating. It's already got heat that's absorbed for thousands of years, but it's also got the
But the
heat
outer
from the
edges
movement.
within a few weeks of in outer space would become frozen, and it would take several weeks for it to get to Earth, probably even several months. So it would have a crust, several feet, and it probably was, semi-frozen, kind of like permafrost.
Maybe.
So it kind of moves because it undulates. But I guarantee you, it's more like a water balloon than anything else.
Maybe, but the majority of it is going to be liquid, not frozen. So, and it's like
maybe like the consistency of a slushy.
You heard what she said. It's not. It's going to be liquid water. It's not going to be. You're going to inside.
The outer edges would be frozen.
Yes, but when she's talking about outer edges, but since it's ice, the outer edges are going to always be changing because as the water sloshes around as it's moving through space,
the density, the thickness would change. Yes, but the outer edge would always remain frozen because we're talking negative 500 degrees Fahrenheit. There's no way it's going to be liquid on the outer edge.
Yeah, it's going to break it off and it's going to refreeze. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to suck some of it up. It's going to break some of it off. It's and anytime it gets close to anything else, some of it's going to burn off. Yeah, it's like a comet, Jesse. Exactly.
I think it would. I think it would work more, operate more like plate tectonics, where it might crack in areas and move and slosh around, but it would remain.
The thing of it is, it's never going to get thick enough to really do any.
If it never struck another planet, yeah, it would eventually become a solid frozen chunk.
Yeah, a million years.
Much more deadly. Yeah,
in a million years or so. But we're talking about probably one orbit. It took 300 or 400 days before we ran into it.
I would say longer than that. I would say even more like months.
It's being that I'm almost positive there was life in that water. It limits it to how long it could be.
Panspermia, though.
In a way,
it does.
It's kind of back ass panspermia, but still.
And it's not. I wouldn't be panspermia.
You know what no one's thinking about.
Specific.
You know what no one's thinking about is Mars could have done this on purpose. And that was their spaceship to get to Earth. They might even known Earth needed more water and decided wanted to save one of their oceans and all the stuff in it by bringing it.
Well, it was a huge gamble that you didn't kill all the life on Earth and what life you have in your ocean as well.
Okay.
Which would mean if you do that,
let's be frank. I don't think they cared if they killed all the life on Earth. Let's just
probably
be frank
not.
about it. Because as far as we know, there was no intelligent life on Earth. Now you and I are talking about cities that were here 15,000 years ago. So if that's when this happened, there would have been life, but that's not when this happened. And that's the other problem here is the time frames. Time frames just don't work right. Because Mars has been dead a long time, 55 million years?
Something like that. We're not even sure. We weren't here. We don't have the history of it. We can't. Yeah. We can only speculate.
Yeah, we're just speculating. Oh no, Jack! If it would have been a 55-year-old ball of ice, there would be no Earth. I'm sorry, dude. It would have hurt us bad. Unless it's what caused the moon. I mean, maybe it impacted us and knocked a chunk out the other side.
I still don't think the moon came from the Earth. To be honest,
the ice, all that ice. What are you talking about? The Pacific theory. Oh, hold on. Yeah, I do remember. Give me a second. So the first time we mapped a lunar surface, we had just finished mapping the Pacific Ocean. And one of the mappers noticed that if you flip the moon over, its ridges line up with the slots on the mountains in our ocean. Perfectly, by the way. So everybody always thought that that's where the moon came from. That's where it broke off from. That's possible, but let me explain how science actually works. Since both areas would have been molten hot, odds are that there wouldn't have been any ridges left to fit in.
Wouldn't have left an impression. It wouldn't have an identifying mark. No.
Yeah, not like that. You're thinking if it broke off rigid. Now, if it broke off rigid cold, let's say that it had bubbled and it hardened and it was just waiting to break, then possibly. But then it wouldn't have left a big hole in the ocean. It would have been a big lump on the side of the planet, like when you get a lump in your tire. That's where you got to use science, baby. Science is important for a lot of things. It's not always right. No, I agree with you. Science makes a lot of boo-boos, but science comes in handy to get rid of problems.
But unless the moon is a Death Star hollowed out moon, it's become a planetary sized spaceship. It flew into the solar system, destroyed the 5th planet, sucked all the ocean off of the 4th planet, or both the oceans off the 4th and 5th, let them freeze, then tractor beamed them onto our planet in an attempt to destroy and or panspermia Earth with those 2 outer planets. We don't know what happened. It could be anything.
We got some ideas of what happened.
But something did come through the solar system and mess it up and destroyed one planet and messed up another one and kind of messed up ours as well.
I don't think anything came through the solar system. I think it was in our solar system. I think it happened right here.
It could have been a solar body within, yes, but whatever it is.
Well, my problem's always been the same thing. If something was in the solar system that would have caused a planet that close to Jupiter, would have never got to it. That's the whole reason I know an asteroid or a meteor was not what destroyed that 5th planet. Besides, it's supposed to be 5 times the size of Earth, so it wouldn't have been that easy to destroy anyway.
So it could have been something from within the solar system.
I'm really thinking, Jack. It's really I can only think of really 2 hypotheses. One, there was a war, and they just blew the son of a bitch up. But you have to remember, it was exposed to Jupiter. So it was constant. We're talking about undulating in the oceans. Well, it was doing the same damn thing. It's moving back and forth. It's being tugged on by Jupiter all of the time. And it's much closer to Jupiter than it is to the sun, but it's big enough at 5 times the size of Earth to also be tugged on by the sun. So this thing was constantly being heated in the center. It may have just blew up. And when it did, it might have sent its main ocean hurling our way. And if that's how it happened, that ocean probably got here in a matter of days.
That's possible. That's tidal. Those tidal forces could be possible from and Saturn could be a part of it too. Saturn, Jupiter, and the pull of the sun, all on 5th planet, could have caused a fatal collapse. But
you know what I think happened? I think that when the ocean got ripped off of the 5th planet, I think as it was ripping off, it took a big chunk of Mars with it. That's probably what the Marinara Valley is. But it's hard because the Marinara Valley, when Jay and I talk about it, you get the distinct feeling that either it was something hard that scraped against it or something electrical that was digging it out as it's going. It doesn't have that smooth look like when water rushes.
It looks like a plasma burn or an electrical, like lightning had struck.
Yeah, it's a weird. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of a sci-fi movie that would actually have. There are a couple out there that do that kind of stuff. It's not coming into my head. But when you look at this map that we're looking at here. So this is 15,000 years ago. There would have been life all over along the water. As a matter of fact, they would have been further out there because what I'm looking at is when I look along these edges way out here, and this is deep water now when we're talking about this is 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 feet of water. That means you can bet your asses there's cities out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to find a much older civilization and a more advanced civilization.
Well, maybe not. I mean, if it's getting to the point where they're going to be starting to be gone. Even the ones we found just recently that are closer to the surface, they're in not good shape. So anything further out and further deep, we may have a difficulty time finding most of them. I'll bet you a lot of them are gone. And I bet you there are many.
But you know what? The deeper the water, the calmer the water. So, you don't get all that movement down on the bottom. If you're at 4 miles, you're not seeing all that movement you see up around 500 feet and stuff. You're not getting all that.
That is possible, but there would be also miles of silt to go through.
They, well, in the Gulf, Jimmy, that's the reason they found that one in 1,200 feet of water. The Gulf is so clear you can see the bottom even at 8,000 feet. And I think its deepest depth is 14,000. But think about it. Think about what I just said, 14,000 feet. Now look at this map at 15,000 years ago. There's not even any water in the Gulf. It's a big catechism of a hole, probably left over from when, this kind of hurt somebody's dinosaur theory.
Whose dinosaur theory?
This is the Yucatan Peninsula right here. There should be way more damage than what we're seeing.
Yeah.
It's got to be the way the map folds in. No, because this is where the asteroid hit that killed the dinosaurs. Right there where that tip of my arrow is. Oh, wait, you can't see it because I'm not on that page. Let me get on this page. Okay, yeah, here we go. Now you can see it. So when I was talking about cities earlier, and I was showing you, so you're going to find cities all along this ridge right here. Matter of fact,
yeah, absolutely.
You're going to just find them in these areas. I agree with Jay. There'll be a lot of them are degraded because the pressure itself will be hard, but the lack of movement will leave bases intact. But probably anything really big, I don't know.
You have to be very careful. I mean,
so this is the difference between the old world and the new world. The old world will actually show longer in history than the new world would. So our world today, within 1 million years, most everything on the planet it'd be unrecognizable. Within 5, you wouldn't even know a building was ever on this planet. In 25, there would be no evidence of mankind left behind whatsoever. And I say
there would
that
be evidence in the atmosphere, but that's about it.
Yeah, maybe. And that's if we hadn't had some wild, volcano, whatchamacallit, or asteroids or something hit. So the thing of it is, there's been, depending on who you want to believe, 1.3 billion to 750 million years of evolution on this planet. So every 50 million years, you could have a very advanced race that could even stay around for a while. But our advanced race is only 350 years old. Not our race, our advanced race. Everything we consider.
If you look, speaking of aliens, if you look at this map, the way it is now, starting in North America, that's the skull. The eye, the water is the first eye. The other side is the other eye. It looks like a gray alien's face. In South America is the nose and chin and the mouth. You see it? You see the little gray alien in the planet?
I ain't looking at damn no grays and damn planet now.
I can see it right there. It's right there in the middle of the earth. North America.
He gets all the good drugs, man. I swear he gets all the good drugs. No, Jesse, when you're looking at this map, you notice there's not much ice in northern. So this is all Russia. This is the damn Siberia up here. This is Alaska over here, which you notice is green. You notice Siberia is green too. And even around Iceland, you see green. It looks like Greenland almost. I mean, ice. I get them backwards because no, the green one is ice and the ice one is green.
Yes.
Stupid. I don't know who did that for whatever stupid reason that was going on for. But when you look, a lot of this was you couldn't get to. So there was no sailing around the ocean. So they always talk about the Mariner race, but they would have been stuck just in the Pacific Ocean or stuck in here or here.
Where can you go?
I imagine there's probably a little pathway through here. So you might be able to go here, maybe even get down to here. But that's it. That's all you're getting here. There's nothing here. There's no way through any of this. And what, you're going to get down to here? Now you got some little water going down here, trickles around, might get over here somewhere, but this is it. This is Honolulu. Look how much land this is.
You could also walk you could walk across, it looks like straight to Antarctica.
Well, obviously there was no need for no ice bridge.
No.
This is 15,000 years ago. I mean, anybody on the planet could have been walking anywhere they wanted to go. And wait, we're always talking about the ice bridge. Screw the ice bridge. You could have left Cape Town, walked right on over here.
And look at between Alaska and Siberia. Like I said, it isn't a land bridge.
You could have left Sydney, walked over to Guam.
Walk all the way across without getting wet.
Jakarta, you could have walked all. And what gets me is some of these places you're looking at are islands, but they're not right now, but they are in regular time.
Yeah, where's Hawaii on that map?
Right there, Honolulu.
Yeah, look how big it is.
Yeah, it's got all kinds
of. That's the world's largest mountain too, isn't it?
Look at
volcano anyway.
Look at Tahiti, sitting on top of a mountain range.
Where's Easter Island? They have it listed.
I don't see it on here.
It's off the coast of Chile.
I don't see it. There's Rio de Janeiro. It doesn't show a whole bunch of cities. There's Guam. There's Tokyo. Tripoli. Dubai. Look at Dubai. There ain't no water around Dubai. Oh, man. Screw the Hamas. Look at this. The
Red Sea is gone.
Suez Canal's gone. The Strait of Hormuz is gone.
Yeah. You're not getting your oil out that way.
Yeah, you just roll it out on trains here, man. I mean, it would be so much easier to get around this planet. You could have laid railroad tracks.
Yeah, but then look at all the land. There'd be that much more butt heads all over the planet too.
What bothered me is the lack of water, and what I'm not seeing map. Maybe these gray is fresh water.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because this looks like
it's ice.
No, I don't think it's ice, but it looks like a lake.
No, I don't. That's the hell is that? I forget.
Like right there. I don't know. Well, no, in real life there is water right here and right here and right here and right here and right here. Just not on this. And I noticed in some of these they've even got it greened out, which means this is not just no water, but it's been lush. It also would explain something that author.
Well, they may not have colored it green for that reason. They may have only colored it green just to show where the land is versus the water.
See, something about this.
I mean, there are some parts that are darker green than others, so that maybe they're trying to emulate where the lush parts are. But I think this is more for just like water table level, so you know what it was like 15,000 years ago.
Yes,
and this would be pre-flood for sure.
This is 15,000 years ago. This is what they said the planet looked like. 15,000. See, I would have thought this would have been further back, frankly, but and no, Jesse, they said this is only 500 feet. So anytime, and every edge you look at this, so this means this is at least 500 feet from here to here. You don't even know what the downfall from here is. This could be another 500 feet. But all these edges along the shoreline are at least 500 feet from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the marker edge. Now, you don't know how much it slopes out going out this way, and you can tell it slopes. All this does. So yeah, here it is at 500 feet. It raised, and then this slopes out another 5. There's a lot of water here, and there's just not enough ice on the planet to fill all of this. I know I've asked Alexa in the past what the volume of water was like 20,000 years ago, and when you asked directly if it all melted, would it fill the planet the way it is today? It always says no, because it's not enough volume. Even today, if all the ice melted on this planet, it would not raise it more than 2 feet. This is 500 feet we're talking about here. Actually, more than that, because we didn't even include the slope. So include the slope. We'll say 750. Regardless, right now, if you melted every piece of ice on this planet, every piece, we'd only raise the oceans to totally by 2 to 3 feet. The planet's a big planet, people. And there's lots of oceans on here. There's lots of places for the water to stretch out. And remember,
there's caverns underneath all the continents that can also drain and suck in a lot of water.
And remember this, people. Half the ice you're talking about is already in the water. It doesn't matter if it melts. It's not going to change anything. You know how you put glass in your ice and it melts? You still got the same amount of liquid in there. It doesn't overflow your glass. That's because that's what happens.
Same principle applies to the planet.
Yeah, so the ice is already in the water. That's displacing the water. It's not going to change anything. See, originally when they did the first calculations, they did it for every piece of ice on the planet. And then some jerks like me started saying, yeah, but 2/3 of the ice it's already in the water, man. You can't count that. You got to count the other ice. So when you just do it the right way, you're only talking, and don't get me wrong, when I say only a 2 or 3 feet, that's a disaster. That means whole coastlines would disappear all around the world. But it's not a disaster of 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet means everything gray out there you see is now underwater. Everything on this map that's gray will be blue 15,000 years from this point.
Mm-hmm.
And wait, it's worse than that. Not only will all this be blue, but see all of this from right here, all the way across here will be white. And all this down here will be white. So not only is there no water in this map, there's not much ice on this map either. Only because there wasn't that much water here. Now, once the new water table comes in and it starts raining, then they start having ice. Shit, that might have been what kicked off the damn ice age, man.
Yeah, maybe. Giant ball of ice comes in, hits from outer space. It may not all, that outer shell of ice might not all melt on the way in. It's probably probably moving 18,000 miles a second or something.
Nah, if it moves too fast, it can't get hard. That's the point. If once it reaches a certain speed, the friction will outweigh any freezing process.
But
so in
once
order
it hits
for it
the
to
atmosphere,
freeze,
it's still going to accelerate and can
see
hot.
When Google was telling you that, she's assuming a floating body of water, not a hauling ass body of water. That would be like a comet. It would just start burning off. Yeah, if it's moving fast, Jack, it creates friction. You're not supposed to create friction in space because it's a vacuum, but we watch comets every day. Ice melts and away it goes because as it's hurling towards the sun's melting it. And that's exactly what would happen to a body of water doing the same thing. So for us, in our theory, this body of water is moving at a medium speed. It got ripped off the planet, probably smacked into something else, and now it's kind of juggling around and undulating, being caught in the orbit probably of Earth. And then as on one of the passes, first or second pass, we probably smacked it. Now, was it ice, water, whatever we hit it makes a difference because ice would have left an impact mark. A big body of ice would have left an impact mark, which we haven't been able to find. Doesn't mean there isn't one because it would be under the ocean. But just water alone, or if it hit it and it popped the front open like a balloon, like Jay was talking about, and the water rushed out, then it would have just rushed across the planet. It would have started from one side and just basically would have been a giant, probably 2,000-foot wave, just cruising over to this side till it came all the way around, and then it would have had like a sloshing effect, which makes sense because in the mountains and the mountains over here, I forgot what 1,000 feet, 8,000 or something, they found fish bones and other aquatic animals. And on Mount Everest, at 2/3 of the way up, ancient, and they found them there as well. So now, and this is important for two reasons. One, if it is ancient water, then it would be much older than the map we're looking at, which means the water would have been much deeper. So then we would have had to ask, where did all the water go? But you can still have ancient animals without having ancient water, and that's by having an already ancient ocean hit the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not,
but
people
the top
not
of a mountain is
thinking
not going to
yeah.
be the bottom of an ocean usually.
Yeah.
So finding, like at the top of it's in Bolivia at Tiwanaku, they found it at this largest freshwater, highest and largest freshwater lake. They have ancient, not ancient, they have ancient fossils of marine, crustaceans or like clams and things, seashells. Same all across the Everest, all the big mountains have it. And so the only way to explain it is those crustaceans, those evidences, those fossils came up from the bottom of the ocean in some sort of a cacophony, and then were deposited there in a flood situation.
Yeah. Jack, that's all of that.
They
was
also suspect, Joe,
ocean.
I don't know if you've heard this recently. This is one of the neatest things I've heard lately too, and I don't know where I saw it, but that's how they think the statues on Rapa Nui were buried. It was the same. The flood came in, and all the silt that carried with it buried that island's statues all the way to their necks.
Well, Jack, I would imagine any ocean being pulled off of Mars or the fifth planet would have been bringing dirt along with it. It would have probably took a good chunk of the bottom out. Maybe.
And you mentioned it being maybe an idea that the Martians did to survive and come here to Earth. I'm thinking, well, how, that's a neat idea, but what? So that means also that their race probably were inside that ocean in underwater submersible vehicles or spaceships.
And think about it, for an advanced race, it's not that complicated of a thing. You just need a force field to contain the ocean. Then it won't even get any ice on it. It'll just be a big blob of ocean moving along that you can control, not just the way it's shaped, but the tensor, because that might have been their way of trying to save a lot of their animals and their cells and bring it to Earth, which means though all this happened at a much earlier time than we want to talk about, which puts races on our planet much older than anybody wants to talk about.
It also means that Noah wasn't on Earth. He was on Mars, and he saved the animals on Mars.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Caused the flood coming here with their water and their animals.
That's a good point. Regardless, Jack, it does explain where all the extra water came from. And since it was no big catastrophe, a big hunk of ice smacking the planet, then it does suggest that this water came in mostly liquid, bearing other animals and probably other life forms, and spread out. And it might be why we call them the Atlanteans, which means they would have settled in here somewhere, probably right here. I would bet you money, because the Aztecs and Mayans are actually up in this section, or the Mayans are up in this section right here, and the Egyptians are over here, over somewhere right up. Oh no, over here. They're
a little further north. Yeah, right around there. A little further north.
Somewhere.
You got the general.
Jack. Because when you go straight across, boom, that's where they were. So the Mayans were. So if they were right here when it flooded, some would have went this way, some would have went this way, some would have went this way, some would have went that way,
and some would have went straight up.
I don't know. It's a very interesting map. That's all I can tell y'all.
Yeah.
We still got a little time. These kind of things. When you get into origins of life, and this is what this show is actually about. So think about this, ladies and gentlemen. We have this map. Now you just heard Jay and I talk and speculating that the Martians could have used an ocean to get here or something along those lines and brought life to our planet in a different way. Because remember, there was just dinosaurs and other crap on this planet. Maybe that's when the Martians brought this here. Maybe they said, okay, it's time to move. It's a good time to move to Earth. We can help because no one can ever explain why almost all the animals went extinct. They said the explosion here wasn't big enough to wipe out all the ocean animals, but if these are the oceans they're talking about, it was plenty big enough to wipe out the ocean animals because there ain't no freaking ocean.
Surfaces anyway. Anything on the surface anyway.
It would have covered all of this.
Had survivors.
You would have had all kind of soot covering all this. No, but if you'd have had the oceans that are there today, Jack, no, I don't think you could have.
No, I mean, if you roll that thing forward to 65 million years ago, or roll it back to 65 million years ago, we don't know what the ocean looked like. We weren't here.
Nah, just as this one only gives us 15,000 years. Yeah. No, we'll you know what, for different shows in the future, we'll look at some other ones.
So what else on this can we look at that we can speculate on origins of humanity and the galaxy and
Let's
whatnot?
see who's on here.
Have you ever seen a product that transforms any ordinary space into a dreamy?
No.
That is cool. Might make you want to heat if you don't like water, but
by storm.
Oh gee, man, what is this? Get off my screen.
Replicate this with primitive tools. Yet mainstream archaeology insists the Tiwanaku people, who had no written language and no wheels, somehow achieved this around 500 to 1000 CE using only stone hammers and copper tools. On the other hand, alternative researchers point to something else. Some blocks show evidence of being poured or molded rather than carved.
Which also is a theory Jay and I gave to all you people.
Off by less than a millimeter across surface.
So we've talked about this because there's only so many ways you can build a pyramid and get rocks there. Pouring it is a good way to do it, especially if you're doing it on site.
Yeah, it's with a liquid called a geopolymer. It's basically concrete. We do it today. I've worked in the home improvement industry for the last 10 or so years, and we have these. The brand that it's at the Home Depot is called Pavestone. I think Lowe's carries it too, but basically all it is, it's an engineered stone. They have these forms. They pour a colored concrete mix into it. It hardens. They send it through like a kiln. They bake it to harden it, and then they make uniform blocks for paving stones. So you can make walkways and brick like patios with them. And they're very sturdy, but they're not as sturdy as some of these buildings here. Whatever they did here, we still cannot replicate. And they did it with the aqueducts in Rome. And not this wall. I don't think this wall is a poured example, but the Sacsayhuaman wall, it has the really weird, they look like jelly beans almost all put together, and they kind of like mushed like marshmallows. Mm-hmm. That is a poured wall.
What do you mean, Dean? So Jay and I started talking. This is a while back. We were going through some stuff, and we got into Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat has got a lot of fancy molding and stuff that would take an advanced knowledge of wood to really be able to do. First, you got to know how to bend wood, mold wood, carve it. And it looked more like something that you would just pour and put up there. We got to looking at it, and sure enough, it is poured. You can, when you look at it hard enough, you can tell it's poured. It's not a piece of wood or a piece of stone. In order to do a piece of stone like that, that's a heavy piece to use for trim when you can use something much lighter. And it's a lot of work when you can just make a mold and pour them all day long.
But that's the exact example. But Angkor Wat is actually, there's so many little tchotchkes, there's little figurines all over. I mean, I don't think there's a wall or ceiling surface that isn't covered in some sort of 3D sculpture But in order to do that quickly and fast, you don't carve them. It would take years. So they must have poured it into like to have 20, 30, 40 molds of these things, and they're making 40, 60, 80, 100 of them,
you get all
every
them
couple hours or
tiles and
so.
all them tiles in all their cities. You know they were pouring them, putting them out in the sun and sun drying them just like you do any brick. Jack, some of these
They probably have a kiln too, I would imagine. But to do all those little figurines, it wouldn't be much at all. You could have like a conveyor belt type of system, even, and just pour the liquid into the molds, put them through the kiln, empty them, and then recycle them right away. You could it'd probably be like a daily, like a Ford assembly line.
Let's see what we got here.
Feet. Perhaps this was their tactic. Arthur Poznansky, who studied the site for decades, claimed astronomical alignments date Tiwanaku to 15,000 BCE, long before any known civilization should have existed there. Graham Hancock goes further, suggesting this was part of a global pre-Ice Age civilization with technology we've lost. What if this timing gave them the crazy engineering advantage they had? But speaking of timing, let's talk about the civilization that is widely known to precede all civilizations.
Which is, there we go.
While Tiwanaku's builders carved impossible stones in the Andes, something far larger was allegedly thriving across the entire Pacific Ocean. Not an island or a coastline, an entire continent called Mu. And it all started with Augustus Le Plongeon, a 19th century archaeologist studying Mayan ruins. According to the Mayan texts, Mu was a great civilization that came before all others, a motherland that was swallowed by the sea. But while Augustus started the conversation, it was James Churchward who turned this into a full-blown alternative history. In 1926, Churchward published his bombshell, a 3-part series on Mu. In these books, Churchward confessed that 50 years earlier, while serving in India, a temple priest showed him ancient tablets written in a dead language called Nagamaya. And these tablets told the story of Mu. According to Churchward, Mu stretched from the Marianas to Easter Island, from Hawaii to the Southern Pacific, larger than South America. What's more, 64 million people lived there in 7 major cities. They were called the Nakal, and in Churchward's words, they were superior in many respects to our own civilization.
If you saw my gun and you're wondering what I'm carrying it in, well, I've got a good answer for you. It's this right here, the Vanish Camo holster, the world's most comfortable as well as the most inconspicuous holster that we...
Cool, but I hate camo.
The evidence?
I do too.
Easter Island's massive Moai statues mark the mountain peaks of sunken Mu. Churchward also labeled Nan Madol's megaliths in Micronesia as remnants of Mu's architecture. Even the Yonaguni monument off Japan with its underwater stairs and terraces is not left out of Mu's proposed submerged cities.
Which means they must have been 9
But suddenly, at about 12,000 years ago, this massive continent sank into the ground. Yes. Covered by 50 million square miles of water in a single night. However, mainstream science dismisses Mu entirely. With the study of plate tectonics, we learn that continents don't just sink like that. Plus, Churchward never really produced those tablets for verification. But in spite of these doubts, the Pacific ruins remain. The identical pyramid designs across distant cultures remain.
Well, that's not identical.
And the flood myths from 200+ cultures worldwide all describe the same catastrophe happening at the same time.
You know, it's interesting
Was
too
Mu real?
because
Or is it a 20th century invention?
they knew the flood was coming. That's what makes me think it was the Martians, because they knew the flood was coming. They came and told them, look, we can't save you people because we're not actually God. But if you want to save yourself, do this.
Build a boat. Yeah.
Yeah, build you a boat that can't be flipped over by waves. Because that's what the way the ark was built, it could tumble in waves and not get destroyed.
Yeah. So we actually spoke about this too. Now the traditional ark is like what you see there.
Yeah, but that's not
pointy
how it
boat
was
at one
built.
end and kind of fat round at the other end.
Yeah, but that's not how it was actually
That
built.
will get knocked over in a vertical wave and sunk. But the boats in the Middle East at that time were round or square, and they were usually made out of kind of like a burlap. So it was kind of like inner tubing. But the speculation is that what they did is the Noah of the time, when this would not be Noah, it would have been Zeus Thustra, or the guy's names from, there's three of them from what's the place? Sumeria. I almost said Lemuria. Sumeria is where these guys are from. So you got three different Noah types, and their boat would have been a rounded thing that was so large that it had enough room for their families, probably 4 or 5 families, and at least their herds. Not necessarily all animals 2 by 2 and all that, poetic nonsense, but at least their farming animals and the animals they needed to survive were, brought along with. Everything else was on their own.
and which a lot of people would survive. Jimmy, the one they show in the late Great Planet Earth, one they said they found on Mount Everest. It's long, it's rectangular.
It matches all the numbers, though. It's really weird.
It's it's really long. It actually was intact when they found it. Later on, it broke in two. There was the mountain shifted and it snapped in two. So now the other piece is sitting. Well, no, it's still there.
That allowed them to get access to it. They didn't have to go very far. They reached in with like a guy on a rope, like 10 feet down into this, and it went to the mountain crack, and he was able to pull out a wooden timber with a fastener in it. In layman's terms, he pulled out a bulkhead beam with a nail in it.
It's interesting.
Nail too, I believe.
No, so this thing is really long. It's really wide. It's really tall.
It's 3 or 4 stories tall.
I think it actually was more than that. It's
I think the main body of it is 3 stories, and then there's like the house on top is like another 2 stories.
They had I forgot how he described it. He said you could stack 7 horses high. So I'm figuring 7 stories, or maybe not quite 7, probably 6.
So
and then
European horses are also smaller than our horses, so they may be also not that tall.
But you're probably still getting. If you're gonna, you would need. I figure what you would really needed to do it right is you'd have needed a floor for food, for all the animals, and then you needed it to separate some animals. So you'd probably had 2 or 3 different floors for the different animals, and then you'd have had your living area. And then probably your work, probably about 5. Yeah, probably about 5, and then probably a up top living area, something. Anywhere, James, anywhere 3 to 6, 3 to 6 stories,
storage, food.
You'd have had other stuff you'd have had to have, and well, actually, Chrissy, it depends on how many animals they had, how big it had. This thing looked like this would have held several families and lots of animals. But remember, so the more families you bring, the more work animals you have to bring, more chickens, more pigs. Well, and chickens, you can just bring a lot of eggs, but still, and start hatching chicks along the way. Yeah. But that's really, it's always good to bring extra. Same thing with a lot of other things you could have done. A lot of the birds would have survived anyway. So, and some of the big animals would have survived.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had to worry about the birds. You would have probably on the decks and the roof of that wrongly depicted boat, you would have probably put some sort of hatching or thatchery so that they could make nests and land on it, because eventually there was no land, and according to the myth and the stories, only a few peaks, like the top of Everest, the top of Ararat, the top of probably a few in South America and America.
Whatchamacallit describes it as the 7 islands or the 9 islands. I forget. That's what was left of the planet. There was like 9 islands left. Man, on barges like these all around.
The top of Hawaii's volcano would be one of them. You wouldn't want to land there. But
you want me to tell you? You want me to tell you how I know that there was more than just a handful of survivors? Because in order to have a healthy population of 8 billion, you would have had to start out with at least 6,000 or 7,000 people. Any less than that, you would have had interbreeding problems.
And think about this: if it was only in the Middle East, we'd all be brown. We'd all be Middle Eastern brown, every one of us. But we have black, we have yellow, we have white, and then we have the browns.
Well, Heidi is brown. I seen her spray paint herself the other day.
That's a spray tan. It's a little different, you know. Nowadays they put brown in the spray tan because no one wants to look like Donald Trump. But no. So, but the thing is that you couldn't have. It couldn't be just Noah to survive, or we'd all be white or brown, or whatever, depending on whatever artist color depicts the Noah of that story. We'd all be that color. But we have 4 or 5 different colors of skin. So everybody, every region around the planet must have been warned. And so there probably were more than, there had to have been more than one for each area. So there's probably 15, 20, 30 Noah stories with 15 or 20 or 30 different Noah names. But we all survived from those people.
Well, Jesse, it makes you think that the flood happened before the rest of the world was populated, meaning like Australia and the Americas and places like that.
No, I bet there are still people on Australia because there is now it's not the Strongs who's got that idea, the out of Australia theory. It's they're 2 brothers. It is the Strongs. Yeah, the Strongs have that theory, the out of Africa theory, the 2 Strong brothers, and they have fairly good evidence for it. And there's also Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs. So there was life. I don't know about civilization, but there were human beings on the Australian continent before the flood.
Yeah, and after the flood, they probably weren't.
Perhaps not. Yeah, I don't know how. Like I said, I don't know what kind of civilization.
Well, no, when you
the
look,
Aborigines probably were there, and they probably survived. From the
when you look at the map, there was life in all of the places where there wasn't anymore. But after the flood, there wasn't. Because nobody in the Americas built any boats. Nobody in Australia built any boats. So they all just got wiped away. We have stories of, no. Yeah. And now maybe in the South Americans, they got tall enough mountains. Maybe they just told them to go to one of the mountain retreats and stay. But other than that, the Mesoamericans wouldn't survive.
You may have been one of those as well.
Yeah, most of the people, but that's what the flood says. Most of the people were killed. So it's a bitch to think that they may have came here. Mars may have came here and killed off most of our population
as an attack. Yeah.
Yeah, but now we share their DNA, so now we're part Martian, and now we're going back to take the planet for our own. So who in the end wins this argument?
Yeah, I mean.
Gene, our biological clock set to a 24.25 hour day. Earth set to a 23.75 hour day. Yes.
No, the day on Earth is 24.24 hours every day.
Unless it's changed, it was 23.75 hours.
No, that's it says 24.24. That's why we get a leap year. We get a quarter day every year. Now the Martian day is 24.3 or 23 something 6, 246, something like that. Our bodies are actually closer to.
They every website I've ever been on says our planet has a 23.75 hour day. It's not a full.
Hey Google, what's the exact hour of the planetary rotation of Earth down to the minute?
Earth completes one full rotation on its axis relative to the stars, known as a sidereal day, in 23 hours and 56 minutes.
Wow.
You argue with things that I've been doing since I was 12, man.
Well, I'm repeating what the Mayans had calculated for the Earth, which was.
But now wait, see, this is what's important about this. Well, no, Jimmy. So our orbit changes. Actually, the speed of our planet changes too. Like right now, which they don't like to talk about, our core is running backwards, or was running backwards. I think it's actually started straightening itself back out now. They don't know why it did that. They don't know why it slowed down. It's supposed to stop. It creates a magnetic field on our planet, dumbass. No, it's not supposed to stop ever. If it stops, more than likely we're in deep shit. But every now and then it slows and it changes direction, and they have no idea why. Somebody says they think it's like a gyroscope that when the planet gets to a certain wobble, it switches to keep us from flying off course or something. Well, because we're tilted. We're not like just spinning like this. We're spinning like this, which creates a wobble. Yeah, it's not like a top. When you start out a top, it's just spinning on its tip, and the top wobbles a little bit, but the bottom's still perfect. Earth's not like that. Earth's tilted. What is it, 4 degrees, 2 degrees, 4 degrees?
No, it's like 23 degrees. Hey, Google, what's the axis of the Earth tilted at?
Earth's axis is currently tilted at an angle of 23.5 degrees.
Yeah, there you go, 23.
Yeah, when I was in high school, it was 17.
Yeah. No, Jesse, I think it's precession that's 4 degrees. No, because it's something to do with something I read to do with Egypt. But that's a whole different show. No, that's for a whole different show, my friend. No, we can't even get into that. Let's see where we are. If we got anything else on here we can get through before we
knew about them until the 17th century, when astronomer Edmund Halley proposed that Earth consisted of nested spheres separated by atmospheres.
The Mediterranean diet is the world's healthiest diet. In
It
fact, it makes it easy to eat that way every day.
People don't ever believe the Mediterranean diet is
full of colorful fruits and veggies.
By the 19th century, esoteric traditions merged this with ancient stories to reveal Agartha, a massive underground cavity housing enlightened beings.
Now, we do know those massive underground areas we found recently that span
from Hindu
Africa
texts
all the way
speaking
to
of the
America.
Nagas, half-human serpent beings living in Patala, the lowest realm, to Tibetan lamas describing hidden tunnels beneath Mount Kailash. They all point directly to this underground paradise.
Oh, what? There was
Not
an
proof
enterprise
enough.
in there.
Then why did the Nazis believe it enough to send expeditions to Tibet in the 90s?
The Nazis
Massive
were
underground
looking for
structures.
everything. The Grail,
On the
everything.
flip side, modern seismology has proven Earth's core is solid metal, not hollow. But believers argue that Agartha exists in a different dimension.
Yes, we know you do.
While legends speak of underground kingdoms, history records something equally remarkable happening in Mesopotamia around 2334 BCE. The Akkadian Empire. Known as humanity's first multinational empire, this kingdom united diverse peoples under one ruler, Sargon of Akkad, a man whose story sounds like propaganda. First, the texts say he was a bad who collapsed
but we don't care.
through bout.
He's also a bad guy in Star Trek, Sargon.
Well, this is Avalon. You know, all the people.
What if the greatest mystery isn't a lost city, but a hidden island that might still exist?
Avalon's where Arthur went.
Enter
then,
Avalon.
Yeah. It's where he went to die. It's where the sword rests.
Avalon appears in Geoffrey of Monmouth's 1136 Chronicle, not told as myth, but as a solid historical fact. According to the Chronicle, this was the island where King Arthur's sword Excalibur was forged, and where the wounded king was taken after his final battle. It gets weird from here. Avalon is known as an island of apple orchards, where inhabitants lived naturally, practicing magic and worshipping nature itself. Can you believe that? For a piece of evidence, people point to Glastonbury Tor in Somerset, England, surrounded by marshes that once made it appear island-like. This is the leading candidate, and the archaeological artifacts present, they all date to Neolithic times. In addition, scholars still debate how the spiral terraces wind up the hill. Are those natural or artificial? The line keeps blurring. But this is the final bomb. Glastonbury sits between the Mendip and Quantock Hills, precisely where medieval texts placed Avalon's territory. How much of a coincidence could this be?
Shambhala.
Yeah, I haven't heard them in a while.
But if Avalon hid itself in mist, this next civilization hides behind mountains, and possibly behind reality itself. Shambhala. According to Tibetan Buddhist texts, Shambhala was a pure land ruled by enlightened kings, protected by 8 mountain ranges somewhere between Tibet and Mongolia. But this is no spiritual metaphor. In reality, ancient texts provide specific geographic markers describing rivers, valleys, and distances with crazy precision. James Hilton's 1933 book, Lost Horizon, introduced it to the West as Shangri-La, but Tibetan monks had been searching for it for centuries. And in 1963, monk Tulshuk Lingpa led 12 disciples on an expedition to find its entrance. They never returned.
I guess they found it.
In the 1930s, the same Nazis' expedition sent to uncover Agartha was also extended to unroot Shambhala, especially because Shambhala's history held the promise of something better, advanced knowledge. Also, the mystery surrounding the CIA's coincidental search floats around this civilization as well. And the government wasn't the only one looking. Matter of fact, the search already began 100 years earlier. In the 1800s, Hungarian scholar Sándor Kőrösi first introduced Shambhala to European scholarship. Thought we knew.
Yes.
Right at the crossroads of early trade routes, Iran was known far and wide to be unimaginably wealthy, with its power built on control of frankincense, myrrh, and desert commerce. But that was not its only vantage point. What set it apart were its structures, a lineup of towering pillars, vast halls, and architectural feats so advanced that they became legendary. Now these pillars weren't just decorative. They symbolized dominance, permanence, and defiance against nature itself. Iran believed it had mastered the desert.
Obviously, it was wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Story.
I think I have that game.
However, this magnificent trait of Iram of the Pillars was also its undoing. Ancient accounts speak of arrogance. Gradually, pride set in, and this blossoming city believed itself to be untouchable. Then, suddenly, it vanished, right into the ground, without a single gradual decline or any recorded war. Just burial. Geological evidence suggests that intense sandstorms or sudden climate shifts swallowed the city whole, sealing it beneath layers of sand, as though planet Earth was tired of its dark age.
There we go.
As the sands closed over Iram of the Pillars, civilization didn't disappear. It changed location. To the north, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, something unmatched emerged around 4,500 BCE, the Sumerian civilization. Now, unlike others, the Sumerians didn't slowly evolve into civilization. They appeared fully formed, with cities, laws, writing, astronomy, mathematics, and monumental architecture already in place. This is what unsettles researchers. The Sumerians built ziggurats, massive stepped structures aligned with the heavens. They tracked planets, divided time into hours and minutes, and wrote in cuneiform, the first known written language. Can you believe that?
Yes.
This was a civilization whose tablets read like the work of people who already knew what they were doing. But the most intriguing of all their wonders were their records of their kings, advanced beings who lived for thousands of years and ruled with admiration. But unfortunately, this great civilization was also swallowed up by disasters. This is one thing we notice across all 12 civilizations. They meet a sudden end. But does this mean they never existed to start with? Tell us what you think in the comments, and like the video if you want us to explore more ancient civilizations.
It could mean that.
Cool.
No, Jeff, it could mean that they didn't exist. I think there's a little more evidence from some than others, but still, no, Sumeria existed, Jack. Egyptians existed. Okay, why am I not moving? Hello, hello. Oh, there I go.
No, you
Okay.
got froze up there for a second.
Yeah. No, we got to go with 36 after. Well, we wanted to give you a show a little more in depth. We still need to get a little more deeper into it than what we've been, but the map really helps you to understand when you hear us talking about the ancient worlds now. When you hear us talking about these cities that are 15, 20, 25,000 years old, now you can see how they existed. Now you can look at the map and say, oh, okay, well, we can see right where this city was. And there was no water. Matter of fact, the one we were looking at Cuba, on the other side of Cuba, there was no water at all. Now, the one on the other side of Cuba, the one that would have been where the harbor is today, there was a little bit of water, but it was still further down. Yeah, it was. There wasn't much water on the planet when you look at that map. It's pretty rough. There's just not enough ice. Well, you know what? In the future, we'll do some ice age maps versus water table maps and see what we can come up with. You can always ask Alexa or Google or anybody how much ice was it? If all the ice melted 15,000 years ago, how deep would the water be? Or if all ice was frozen on a planet 15,000 years ago, how shallow would the water be? It'll tell you that. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right, but it's getting its figures from NOAA and places like that. Yeah. Because we just don't know. I mean, we're estimating. We know some things because we got evidence, but like at one time, we know there used to be a big saltwater ocean in the middle of the United States. If you look at our history, I imagine if you go back every 15 or 25 million years, you'll see the planet looks different. The oceans are shaped different. The continents are shaped different. And at every 100 million, I bet you it's drastically different.
Yeah, because the continents are constantly shifting and moving. It's not going to be the same 1,000 years from now.
Yeah, I heard this.
It'll be close. It'll be recognizable to us 1,000 years from now, but it won't be the same.
It won't be the same, no. No, Friday we got a good bit of news to catch up on. Got some links to get through. Yeah, I know we've been getting a lot of good feedback on the links lately. Well, we've been getting some pretty good links. Not all of them. Some of them are kind of boring. Bill Maher is always worth a trip, especially now that he wants to. No, he don't want to be a Republican, Jack, but he wants to not be a communist Democrat. That's what he. Yeah. That's what he don't want. Yeah. You can't really blame the guy, man. I mean.
No, and people are giving him shit because he's saying that his vote is in play, meaning the way I take it is that he means he's not going to make up his mind until he gets inside the booth and the curtain closes. Then he's going to go Democrat or Republican. He's going to pick one or the other at that moment.
Yeah, I watched him. So he had on, who was it? He had on Elon Musk, JD Vance, and somebody else are like back to back to back. It was all good interviews, a lot of fun. He told JD, he said, I'm not voting for a communist. He said, and since Trump can't run, my vote is in play, meaning I'll vote for a Republican. He's not going to.
Yeah, he'll vote for the correct,
the best.
But
by saying that, guys, girls, what he's telling y'all is, for the most part, is if one of these socialists get the president, like AOC or something, he's not voting for them. Yeah. Well, he likes Vance, and he made a crack about Rubio. Because Rubio, he'd vote for either one of them, Vance or Rubio. I think he likes Rubio more than it's easier to like Rubio for a couple of reasons. One, he doesn't wear his religion on his arm, which Vance does. Now, Vance wears his religion on his arm. Matter of fact, if you read his new book, it's pretty religious. But by saying that, he reveals a lot about himself, which was surprising. Yeah, he's a little bit more outspoken, but Rubio's got a little bit more to show for what's been going on. And Rubio don't wear his religious on he's not going around God bless everybody all the time.
Right.
So he's less offensive, but regardless, I think it'll end up Rubio Vance or Vance Rubio. They may, and then again, they may decide not to, because if Vance gets it, he might want Rubio to keep the job he's got now. Because, Rubio as a vice president, I think, would be a waste. a lot unless they cut him loose, and then he'd be competing with the president. No, really, I'm just saying from my own personal view, I think Rubio would be more beneficial to the presidency in the job he has now than he would be as vice president. Look how much more press he gets than Vance does. Yeah, look at it. I mean, it's crazy. Well, I mean, anyway, we need to go. We can't be talking about this kind of stuff, but not on this show anyway. No, Friday we'll have lots of time to talk about it. Michelle is on right now, I believe. What is she talking about tonight? The hidden world of cryptid and the place within our lore with William Bove, B-O-V-E, Bob, Bove. How you say that? B-O-V-E. That sounds like that should be something easy.
Yeah, Bove or Beauvais, I would think. Yeah.
I don't know, Jack. I don't know. What are you talking about? Oh, that we check facts live? Because Jay and I know our facts pretty well. Sometimes we might get one wrong or the other one. Regardless, we if we're not sure, we'll check them. Yeah, we'll check them live on air because we don't get our feelings hurt, dumbass. No, he's been wrong. I've been wrong. It happens. But sometimes you get misquoted or you hear something wrong or something changes. So originally, when you heard us talking about the how long the time thing is, originally, if you go back to the 70s and you ask, it was 23 hours and 42 minutes. Now, what did she say today? 23 hours
23:56.
56.
23:56, yeah.
So that's 12-minute change in 50 years, 40 years. No, and it's going to change again. We're moving around. We're not. People always want to think that we're
moving further away.
You know, our planet is in constant motion, and not just in one motion. It's in a lot of different motions. Thank God we spin on the oceans. We just can float off the thing, or maybe not float off, but float around, which would be even worse. Oh, you mean like Dr. Hood where the fish swam in the sky? That would be weird. That would be weird seeing a great white swimming, or better yet, an orca swimming through the sky. I don't think I want to live on that planet. I think I'm going to skip living. Oh, no, I think I'm going to skip living there. No, I'm sorry. But anyway, y'all go check out Michelle. We're going to get out of here. Oh, excuse me. I hope you enjoyed the show. It was a good one, and there's a lot of good information in it. And there'll be, well, I want to get in. There's a lot of things. I really want to get this book written, but I really want to get into the Mesopotamian, the Sumerian, the Egyptian stories of creation on one show. So it'll be a little sticky because we're going to have to move around a little bit because we'll have to start with one. Basically, we'll have to set up all three. So it'll be a little boring in the beginning because we have to talk a little bit about how the Sumerians, how the Egyptians, and how the Mesopotamians came to be. A Mesopotamian said it's all genetic engineering. Pretty much is what the Sumerians said. So, but anyway, we'll get into all of that and y'all can check it out and just tell us what you think. Don't be people write into the show all the time. I again, if you want me to open Pal Talk, you got to remind me before the show, not after. Yeah. No, I don't mind opening. You just got to remind me because I don't think about it. Don't ask me why I don't think about it. I just don't. I could give you some elaborate lie, but why bother? Because I just don't. That's not science. Don't think about it. It's too much other shit on my head when it comes to a show. Actually, I'm going to eat. Jay said something about going to dance naked. I don't want to know. Did anybody hear about Sean's date?
Food too, I think.
I haven't heard anything about Sean's date, so I'm gonna tear his ass up Friday night when I see him because he didn't tell me about it. Hurt. Yeah, I'm hurt.
I haven't seen him online yet, so I don't know if he even survived.
No, yeah, I've seen him do a show. He's done two shows. Good. Yeah, no, he did his Sunday and Tuesday show. Yeah, he's on Sunday and Tuesday. Yeah. Who's it? CL's his girlfriend? I don't think so. I'm not getting into that. I don't know. As far as I know, that's not true. They're friends. I know that much. I don't think they're like that kind of friend. I think they're just friends.
Yeah, I think she's on the West Coast too.
She's in
Chicago?
No, Vegas. Not Vegas. Nevada. I'm sorry. I just couldn't get it out of my mouth. Yeah.
West Coast. Yeah.
Yeah. She's No, I don't think she's actually in Las Vegas itself, but she's somewhere right around there. Yeah, she's in Nevada somewhere. I wouldn't tell you anyway. She probably wouldn't want y'all people to know where she lives. Perdump? Oh, you're talking Utah. That's where Art Bell used to live. That's where Heather Wade lives, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I might go through there one day. You never know. I haven't seen Heather. I would invite her on the show. I haven't seen her. She flipped out one day and I haven't seen her since. She, I don't know. Sometimes people just get weird, Jack. Well, what do you mean? Oh, you know what? Ask me on next Wednesday show, but no, I still do ufology. I'm not as interested in some things because, frankly, I know most of it's, you know what. And I work with a group that's so more advanced than anybody else is out there working. And it kind of seems like going backwards when I'm dealing with so-called ufologists today. I can't help it that we've been, yeah. Yeah. I did post that about the Cajun Navy. Yeah, you're right. That was Jesse Waters that we're going to have for Friday night. DNC facing Fallout, so we'll be playing that. This is another DNC cover-up. We'll be playing that. Jesse Waters. Also, we'll be having the United Cajun Navy releases Nolan Wells case report, so y'all get to see that. This is just all stuff that'll be on. We'll be talking about one of the new socialist candidates tearing AOC a new asshole. Excuse my language. You know, well, they're supposed to be on their side, Jack. Yeah. We're going to be watching some Bill Maher stuff. He's got a couple of good clips. He's got one particularly crazy nut liberal on. We're going to be watching that. That's going to be funny as hell. We're gonna watch some Joe Rogan freak out on some stuff. We got some more. We got some Fetterman with Bill Maher. We might have. Oh, and then we got this lost city. So there's a city sitting outside of St. Louis that. Well, hold on. It looks like a freaking Lion series. Yeah, St. Louis. Hold on. Damn it. Just. All right, where am I at? Right quick. Yeah, people are going to be late. Shut up. Let's see. So this thing, and we're going to talk about this on another show. We don't have really time for it tonight, but okay, I don't see it. There it is.
You got to throw it up.
All right, can you toss it up there?
It is. Yeah, I did, and then you threw it down. There we go.
City in the United States.
Can you hear?
There is a lost city in the United States of America. It had a pyramid whose base covers more ground than the Great Pyramid of Giza. At its peak, more people lived here than in London. And it sits 15 minutes from downtown St. Louis. And most Americans.
St. Louis.
There is a lost city in the United States of America.
So people.
It had a pyramid whose base covers more ground.
We're going to be talking about this city along with some others. There's a bunch of stuff on that. So when you want to see what we're talking about on Wednesday, all you have to do to go to the Facebook page, and it's usually going to be up there. I'll be posting more stuff tomorrow and Friday all day. And well, anybody can post there, Jack. My Facebook pages are public, so you can post on them. Because we're always looking for stuff for Friday shows. Just stuff to talk about, because really the news, and what do we got? An Iran war, not much going on. We're going to be talking a lot of election stuff here pretty soon because we got midterms in, I think, 100 days. Jay, ask how many days we got to midterm. I think it's 100, maybe less.
Hey, Google, how many days until the midterm elections?
There are 90 days until the
90 days. Okay.
Elections,
90 days.
Take place on Tuesday, November 3rd.
3 months, people. 3 months. We have midterm elections.
Hey, Google, stop.
We got a lot of good polling stuff to talk about that. Some more polling stuff came out on a lot of different candidates. It's kind of weird. So we're going to talk about all of that. What do you mean about Europe? What about Europe? You mean the world? We're kind of through with the World Cup stuff. I mean, if something good, we'll show y'all. I mean, there's a lot of stuff talking about America, but you know, after a while, like this gets old. I mean, if something new or something good comes up, send it to one of us. We'll play it. Yeah, but anyway, we're way into Michelle's show now. So on that note, good night, everybody, and go hang out with Michelle. Tell her hi. Tell her we love her. We'll see all of y'all on Friday night. Be sure to bring your lunch because it's going to be a long one. I got a lot to talk about. Chanel, you can join us. Yeah. You should wait. Chanel from from Red, White, Blue from Newsmax. I always get Newsmax and One American News confused. Well, I'll tell you what. ICAR@cox.net. You want to come and hang out with us? That's my email. I'll send you an invite to the show. If not, just show up at the show, text one of us, and we'll invite you in. Chanel, yeah, Jay's my co-host. He knows. He just heard me say your name, so if he sees it, he'll know.
Yeah.
Well, he can bring you in. Yeah, any host in the queue can bring you in. Yeah. Anyway, again, I want to thank everyone again for tuning in to United Public Radio. Hope you enjoyed the show. Any moans, groan, bitches, or gripes, UPRN radio at gmail.com. That will be Michelle DeRoche, and you can write to her, and she'll probably give you the bird finger, but hey, we love her. She's a raven at heart, people. We call it a raven lady. Just kidding. No, she's feeling better, and I'll talk to her in a couple of hours, and I got to give her numbers from yesterday and today. But on that note, good night and hang out with Michelle. Goodbye, everybody, for y'all. Get me in more trouble. Hope